Hello everyone. Again, welcome to Pune Tech Community for Seasons of AI, which is season 2 for building your own co-pilots. Okay, and today that we are going to look into both the aspects, how you will be able to create your own co-pilot using pro code as well as no code kind of a platform. Okay, so our first session is about how to build your own Copilot with Teams AI Library and .NET. So this is kind of a presentation which was already given by Aisha Bas and John Miller. So even you will be able to look out for that onto the internet and get more information. So thanks to both of them to make this presentation as well as this valuable resources available to the community. So what we are going to discuss out in this session is, for example, Microsoft Copilot. I know that you must have been using Microsoft Copilot by now because it has been more than 1 year. We are using Microsoft Copilot into Microsoft 365 ecosystem, even in Azure and beyond that. So, for example, if you are very much excited about Copilot, and then if you want to build your own Copilot, so building a Copilot is very easy with all of the tools which are available with us. There are various ways in which you will be able to create your own Copilot. So let's say, for example, if you do not know coding or if you don't want to get into the trouble of coding yourself, in that case, you can use low code, no code kind of a platform like Microsoft Copilot Studio to build your own Copilot. Second thing, for example, if you are a pro code who like to code and get develop your Copilots, in that case, you can use various tools, and again Teams AI library or even Teams Toolkit. Those are one of the things with which you will be able to create your own Copilot. Again, there are declarative Copilots or even declarative agents that you will be able to use and create your own Copilots. The third way is probably you can use Azure AI Studio as well to get your own Copilots done, and even we are going to touch base on that aspect as well. So there are various ways based on which area you are coming from, whether low code, no code, pro code, .NET, Node.js, open source, uh, OpenAI, everything. So you do have all the options to create your own Copilot. Okay. So these are the things that we are going to discuss out today. But before we start the session, quick introduction. So myself, Nanddeep, I am Microsoft MVP for M65 as well as AI platform. Author of these three books that you can see on the screen, including SharePoint Framework, SharePoint Hybrid, and Viva Connections. And these are my social media handles, including Twitter, LinkedIn, my blog, and YouTube. So if in case you want to go ahead with further discussion, please give me a nudge and then we can discuss it out. And with me today is Smita.
Hello, myself Smita Nachan. I'm having total 16 plus years of experience in Microsoft technology. I'm author of these two books. I'm a Microsoft MVP, and these are some of my social handles by which you can get in touch with me.
All right, so let's get started. This is the agenda that we are going to cover for this 1 hour. So first thing is that Copilot stack. So we just have talked about like there are various ways in which we'll be able to create Copilot, including low code, no code, pro code kind of a platform, even using OpenAI or any other platform. The second thing that we are specifically going to talk about Teams AI library and the Teams toolkit. So we are going to talk about how you can build custom engine Copilot using .NET, Teams AI library, and Teams toolkit. So we have this full pack agenda with for you with demos as well. So we'll start with Copilot stack, and then we will dive into more into the custom Copilot area, and after that we will introduce you to what is Teams AI library, and then how you can use Teams toolkit. Okay, so we will build the live demo and we will build custom engine Copilot together. So today that we are going to use this Teams toolkit and Teams library using Visual Studio. All right, so with that, let's get started with some theory. So we will cover some theory before we go into the demos, so that we will lay a good, strong foundation for that, and then we will move ahead.
So here is an overview of extensibility options available for Microsoft Copilot that are categorized into the three main areas. First one is extend the Microsoft Copilot, then build your own Copilot, and low code pro code option. So let's see all of them one by one. So the first one, how we can just extend the Microsoft Copilot. So this option focuses on expanding the capabilities of the existing Microsoft Copilot by incorporating specific extension as well as a plugin that can be integrated into the standard Copilot experience across Microsoft 365 apps like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, as well as the Teams also. Okay, so the extensions here might include the custom connectors or workflows that allows the Copilot to retrieve the data from a third party applications as well as from the internal systems, providing more contextually relevant responses. So users can leverage the Microsoft Graph and external APIs to build the integration, enhancing the Copilot's ability to pull the data from the other resources within the organization. Let's see how we can just build our own Copilot. So this option gives the developer the flexibility to create a tailored Copilot experience for specific applications, processes, or organizational needs. So the organizations can build their custom Copilot from scratch, incorporating proprietary data and personalized AI models to meet a specialized use cases. So, this approach is useful for the businesses that need a highly customized AI assistant, allowing the control over the functionalities, data access, and the response generation to ensure that the solutions align with business objectives. So, for building a custom copilot, developers might use a tools like Azure OpenAI, Microsoft Graph, and Power Virtual Agents to create a personalized AI assistant experience. Let's see for this low code and pro code options. So this category highlights that the both low code and the pro code solutions are available to extend or build Copilot. So when it's come to low code options, so it's facilitated by the tools like Microsoft Power Platform, which empowers the users with minimal coding experience to create or extend the Copilot's capabilities. So the Power Automate and Power Apps, for example, allow users to build a custom workflows and the apps that can integrate with the Copilot. And when it's come to the pro code, so the pro code options target more advanced developers who may use the Visual Studio Code or other development environments to build a complex extension or the custom solutions for Copilot. So this allows for fine-grained control over Copilot's capabilities. So enabling integration with the complex systems and additional customization through code. So together, these options ensure that whether a user is a business analyst, a power user, or a developer, they can contribute to and enhance the Copilot experience in ways that suits their technical expertise. So this framework allows the developers as well as the businesses to choose between extending the current capabilities of Microsoft Copilot, creating their own Copilot solution from the ground up, or choosing from both low code and pro code options for the customizations. So it provides the flexibility in tailoring the AI to meet the diverse business needs and technical requirements. This also aligns with the version of enabling the broader adoption of the AI driven productivity across the organizations. So with that, let's go ahead and check these Copilot extensions. So here is a detailed breakdown of Microsoft Copilot extension types as well as their functionalities. So here how each component fits into the Copilot extensibility model. So the first one is the connectors, that is the ground responses. So first we will discuss what is the purpose of these connectors. So the connectors are designed to provide a co-pilot with access to business specific knowledge, effectively grounding its responses in relevant, accurate, as well as the contextual information. So what is the functionality of it? Okay, so by connecting a co-pilot to external data sources and proprietary databases, the connectors enables it to generate the responses based on the organization's unique data and the business processes. What is the employee use case? So, for instance, an HR team could integrate an internal knowledge base through a connector so that the copilot can answer the employee queries about the company policies, benefits, and procedures grounded in up to date information. The second one is the plugin, which brings the actions. So purpose over here for the plugins is the plugins allows the copilot to initiate the actions within the organization's applications, workflow, or automated processes. The functionality of it, so through plugins, Copilot can perform the task directly within the app, such as creating the entries, sending the notifications, or automating routine tasks, turning the Copilot into a proactive assistant. So some of the key areas for these plugins is your app, your workflow, your automation. So when it's come to your apps, Copilot can interact with the company specific application, whether they are custom built or part of third party services. For the workflows, your plugins can initiate predefined workflows, enhancing the productivity by automating repetitive actions. And for the automations, through the plugins, Copilot also leverage the automation platform, let's say for example Power Automate, to execute the multi-step processes. And the employee a use case over here, for example, a sales team could use a plugin to trigger a workflow that pulls the customer information from the CRM, drafts an email response, and logs the interaction automatically. Thus, it helps us to reducing the manual work as well. Okay. The last one is our Copilot focusing on the user experiences. So the purpose of it, so this category represents the customized Copilot tailored to provide a focused user experience that aligns with the specific organizational needs. About its functionality, so the custom Copilots incorporate the organization unique business knowledge, apps, as well as the workflow and automation to create a highly relevant and personalized assistant. Some of the key areas is your business knowledge. So the custom copilot can access and interpret the business specific data, making them more insightful as well as the relevant. So your apps, workflows, as well as the automation, they can interact seamlessly with an internal applications, established workflows, and the automated tasks. Let's say one example use case over here. A manufacturing company could deploy a custom copilot for floor managers which has access to machine maintenance logs, inventory levels, as well as the order statuses. So this copilot would assist in real-time decision making and streamline operations. So each of these elements contributes to making a Microsoft Copilot a versatile and adaptable tool that can be configured to meet a various enterprise needs, from delivering the precise information to driving the automation and personalized user experiences. Now let's see about this building your Copilot. So this is an overview of the components and architecture for building a custom Copilot in Microsoft Teams. So here is a point by point with a breakdown for each layer. So the first one is the core components, which consist of the Teams AI library plus bot framework, as well as the LLM. LLM, that is means nothing but large language models. So let's go to these core components one by one. When it's come to the Teams, the Microsoft Teams platform serves as the user interface where the custom copilot interacts with end users. It provides a collaborative space and the front-end experience where user can query, receive the responses, and engage with the copilot. So the Teams acts as the primary environment, allowing the copilot to leverage its collaboration and communication features. The second one is the Teams AI library and the bot framework. So when it's come to the Teams AI library, it is a set of capabilities and utilizes the specifically designed to work within the Teams environment, helping to build the intelligent responses and manage the conversations. For the bot framework, So the Microsoft tool for building a conversational agents, it enables the Copilot to handle the dialogue flows, respond to user messages, and integrate with the Teams features. When it's combined to is come to these combined functions, so together the Teams AI library and the bot framework supports the development of the Copilot's conversational abilities, providing the infrastructure to manage the user interactions, capture the intent, and handle the complex responses as well. For the LLMs, that is the large language model, the LLM is a core of Microsoft intelligence capable of understanding and generating the human like text. So, this model is responsible for interpreting the user input, generating the responses, as well as the learning from the feedback over the time. So the Microsoft leverages the state of art LLMs, providing a robust foundation for natural language understanding and generation in various language as well as the context. Let's go with its functional layer. So first is the UX, second is the conversational interface, third one is the model. Let's go by one for these functional layers. So when it's come to the UX, the first one is streaming, so it enables the real time continuous interactions, allowing the responses to load as they are generated rather than waiting for complete response. When it's come to the citations, it provides the sources for the copilot responses, helping to build a trust by linking back to the original data as well as the documents. So, feedback looping, which captures the user feedback to refine and improve the responses over time, enabling an adaptive learning process, as well as the additional UI features, which enhance the user experience by making the interaction intuitive, trustworthy, and responsive, which is especially critical in professional settings. The second functional layer is a conversational interface. So when it's come to the instructions, so the predefined commands or the statements that help the co-pilot understand the context and execute the right actions. So the actions which are the specific tasks the co-pilot can perform, like retrieving the information, performing the calculation, or the triggering any of the workflows. When it's come to the handlers, so that is the code that manages and processes a different type of user request, ensuring the appropriate responses or the actions are the trigger. So when it's come to the triggers and intent detection, so identifies the user's intent and determines when the certain responses or the workflow should be activated, making the interaction smoother and more intuitive. So this is about these functional layers. When this come to the model, so orchestrators, that is the coordinate between the LLM data sources and the actions to ensure the responses are relevant, accurate, and contextually appropriate. So foundational models, so base models trained on the large corpus of language data that provides a general language understanding. So these are further fine-tuned for the specific enterprise application. For the data layer that ensures the model has the access to both external as well as the internal sources of information, enabling it together to generate the responses based on up-to-date and relevant data. It supported the languages and the framework. So the languages it supports, that is a .NET, JavaScript, Python. So these languages are used to develop and integrate the custom functionalities within the Copilot. So each language provides a unique libraries and frameworks that support the AI, bot development, and the integration with Microsoft tools. So sweet and short summary over here. Each component in this architecture plays a specific role in creating an intelligent, responsive, and customizable copilot within the Microsoft Teams, which highlights the layer as Teams UI is the front end where the user interact, Then the AI library plus the bot framework offers the tools to build the conversational flows. Then LLM come to the place which adds the intelligence with natural language capabilities. Then the UX, conversational interface and the model layers which provides the essential functionalities that make the copilot intuitive, responsive and able to improve over the time. So this modular architecture allows the developer to create a highly tailored copilot experiences for different organizational needs from the customer service to internal productive enhancement. So with that, we are going to discuss in this team while the chatbots were supported from the beginning, creating the bots that felt genuinely intuitive and conversational was it challenging. So here the limitations of the earlier Teams chatbots. So the bots use a primitive list of declare commands. So early the bots relied on a fixed list of commands that the users had to know and follow precisely. So this approach felt the limiting as the users needed to remember the specific phrases as well as the commands, making the interactions more rigid. So the limited commands list means that the bots could not adapt well to more flexible or conversational user inputs. No understanding of the app skills. So bot did not have the capability to understand or infer the app's range of abilities intuitively. So they lacked a built-in sense of what users might want to achieve, which means that the all actions had to be explicitly mapped to some of the commands. So this gap made the bots feel the less intelligence and required the users to have a prior knowledge of the bot exact capabilities as well. It was hard to utilize the user intention, so understanding the user intent was a major challenge due to the complexity and the cost of implementing effective natural language processing, that is the NLP. So without this sophisticated NLP, bots struggle to recognize the user intentions based on varied inputs, resulting is in a less helpful or irrelevant responses. So as a result, users often face for the frustrations as the bot interaction did not feel that seamlessly or adaptive as desired. So, in short summary, while the Teams bot provided basic functionality, they often lack the flexibility and understanding needed to create a smooth conversational experiences. Building the advanced language capabilities required the significant resources, limiting the effectiveness of early bot implementation. So next, what exactly happens with this Teams AI library? So with the Teams AI library addresses the previous challenges by enabling the developers to build the more and advance the conversational copilot for Microsoft 365 application. So here, how the library improves this bot capabilities. So bot are evolving to be or conversational copilot. So with the Teams AI library, bots go beyond the basic command driven actions to become a conversational co-pilot. So this makes the interactions feel the more natural and app can register skills. So developer can register the specific key skills or the functionalities with their apps, making it clear to the AI what the app is capable of. So these features allow the bots to reference a defined skills set of skills and perform the relevant task based on the user inputs. It's extract the user intent from the natural language. So the Teams AI library can use the intent to the natural language processing, enabling the bots to understand what the users want to achieve And this means that the developers can't focus on the core business logic while the AI handles the intent extraction, simplifying the development. So, in a short summary, this AI library seamlessly seamlines the creation of the conversational, skills aware copilot, allowing a developer to focus on their app's unique features while the AI manages the conversational complexity. This leads to the smarter, more engaging, and experience for the users.
All right. So now that let's see, like when we are using those conversational as well as maintain the contextuality, how does it work? So the Teams AI library is nothing but the M65 kind of an interface to large language models. So using this technique, for example, prompt engineering, you can add Copilot like kind of a conversation experience and build a safety features like moderation, and even it can help you to make Copilot which can respond in some kind of an appropriate manner. Okay, so where this library helps. So this library includes a planning engine that lets the model identify the user intent and then map that intent to the actions that you are implementing. For example, if you are not using this library, in that case, you need to probably use something like AI Builder to extract out the intent of the user or entity which is specified into that prompt. Okay, so but with Teams AI library, it can do that. So there's a built-in support for both OpenAI as well as Azure OpenAI kind of a models. So when we will go to the demo, we will show like how you will be able to use the Azure OpenAI models for that built-in kind of a support to extract out all those entities, and then Teams AI library can help you go ahead and do that. Okay, so let's get started. These are four simple steps that we are going to follow to get our model created. So now that we are coming towards the demo part, we have sufficiently covered the theory. So first thing that we are going to do is we'll start by creating the AI component. Okay, so that means we will scaffold out all of the necessary AI components for our Copilot. So this will include importing the library into our project, configuring component settings whichever we have got. Second thing, what we will do is we will create the application object that can represents our Copilot within Microsoft 365 environment, and this object will be used to handle incoming messages, process the user input, and then handle the AI triggered kind of an actions. Third thing, obviously, prompt. Prompt is a crucial part when we are talking with these large language models or language models or even with Copilot. So we'll start by creating the prompt for the Copilot, and the prompt will define AI's personality, its behavior, and inform the AI for the actions that it can perform. Lastly, we will add some actions. So we will implement our Copilot action, and this is our business logic, okay? Because until this is the very generic thing that any of the AI system can do. But now that we will go ahead and make it very specific for our actions. So this one will be our business logic. So actions are a kind of a primary way that our code interfaces can do with the AI components as well as the models. Okay, so this action can simply call any external APIs, it can process any data, or simply it can generate the appropriate kind of an responses. All right, so before we go into the demo, this is the Teams toolkit that we are going to use, which makes it very much simpler for us to get started. And then again, we can use this as an plugin or extension inside of Visual Studio. Again, there is available in Visual Studio Code as well. So it is a simple set of templates and tools which makes building custom Copilot as well as apps for Teams across Microsoft 365 very easier. So it supports for automating any of the setup, debugging, or maybe provisioning to run your experiences in Microsoft Teams. So it includes project templates that you can see on the screen as well. So that we'll be able to use this Teams AI to help you get started. Okay, so this is the Teams toolkit that we have got. All right, so now that let's get into the demo. Let's see like how these things work, because we have talked a lot, but let us see how this one works. So again, we will be sharing the codes and everything with you, but simple thing, there are few prerequisites that you need to meet to get this demo run. First thing, obviously, you need to have Microsoft 365 account for that. Second thing, we should have Visual Studio installed. It could be Visual Studio 2022 or 2022, which is the latest version. And then again, we need to have the Teams Toolkit as a plugin or extension installed into the Visual Studio. Third thing, obviously, you will need Azure OpenAI resource, and there you will need GPT 3.5 Turbo and text embedding ADA model. Okay, so here we are using this one as the LLM GPT 3.5 Turbo, and this is the embedding model that we are going to use. This is a second generation embedding model, text embedding ADA 002, which will help us to create the vectorization when they are deployed. And obviously, we will need Azure storage account because we are going to use the RAG button, retrieval augmented generation, so that we are going to prompt our model with the data that we have got. So today that we are going to create one simple example of career genie. So this is kind of a Teams app which will help you to scan across your resumes and then probably give you the correct kind of a resume. So let's say, for example, for the organizations, when HR receives the resumes, they are maybe in thousands. So whenever we are looking out for quick kind of an help, like let's say we want to search for C# developer with 5 years of experience, we have to scroll through multiple resumes. And again, there could be a chance that if your organization is working globally or operating globally, in that case, you might have resumes in different languages as well. Okay, so not just the English, but it could be in other supporting language as well. So in that case, getting the information from there is very difficult for a human being. So this is where we will be able to store all of them into the storage account, and then obviously we are going to use the capabilities of Azure AI Search to use the vectorization as well as use the semantic searching to look into those resumes very effectively. Okay, so before we get into the code, we will get started with Azure OpenAI. We will get our GPT 3.5 Turbo as well as the embedding model setup. We will also develop that rack pattern, and then we will again come back to the code and then see like how we'll be able to use that. Okay, so let's get started. So this one is my Azure AI Studio. And for example, if you have not used Azure AI Studio, so this is just one of the resource in Microsoft Azure. So firstly, you will have to create Azure AI resource. Once you do that, you can come to the Azure AI Studio, which is kind of an one-stop shop for all of your Azure-based AI solution. So it could be content moderation, it could be selection of the models, or even it could be like getting your Copilot deployed and get started. So this is the place from where you can get started. You do have deployments. So based on the region as well as based on the capability that we have got, you will be able to create those models. So once you go to the deploy model, maybe you can start with the deploy base model. If in case you have any fine-tune model, you can use that as well. So once you go into the deploy model, all of the models here are based on the region where you have provisioned that AI service. So right now, my service has been provisioned into the East US region. So these are all of the models which are available to me. Okay, so I can go ahead and I can select any of those. So let's say in this case, I have selected this GPT 3.5 Turbo. So as soon as we make a deployment, this particular deployment of the model is available to us, and then I can simply go into the chat interface to get started conversation with that. So this is the place from where we'll be able to see all of the model which does support chat kind of an capabilities. So there are two capabilities. We do have completion APIs. We do have a chat completion APIs as well. So completion API is a bit of a legacy kind of an thing that we had, wherein it does only support single line of text or just the strings. Okay, so if you go back to the completion, here you can see that we can simply give the prompt, and that's it. We can click generate to generate the responses. Okay, so there is nothing fancy here. But at the same time, for example, if you come to chat playground, so all of the GPT models, they do support chat playground, wherein you do have more customizations, wherein you will be able to give instructions to your model. That means you will be able to define the behavior for your model. At the same time, for example, if you want to go ahead and add certain examples like a user and assistant kind of a scenario, you will be able to do that. Even we do have capability to specify the parameters like the max responses, temperature, top P, all those kind of a thing here. So simple thing here, like this is our chat playground wherein we will be able to create or start creating our deployments, and then from there we'll be able to use them into our copilots. How? Let us get started with very basics. So let's say, for example, this is GPT 3.5 Turbo, the model that we have selected. This is the instruction. So this is a pretty much simple instruction that you are an AI assistant that help people find information. We will just go into the chat and we will say like, tell me a joke, okay? Tell me a joke on cat, and then let's go ahead from here. So as soon as we do this kind of a prompt, So here you can see that this is nothing but a input, which is prompt, and this is the output that we get, which is a completion. Okay, so we can define the intention for this particular model deployment by giving this instruction, and then we'll be able to chat with that model. Okay, so this is a pretty much simple thing. Now that this is a very basic kind of an conversation that we can do with any of the GPT model. So all of the GPT model, they have got their own training date. So it is the kind of a training date onto which they have been trained on, and they know everything what is happening into the world until that date. But for example, when you want to go beyond, or even in cases where you want to get the information from your organizational data. In that case, obviously, these are the very generic kind of a models. They do not know that. So let's consider our scenario that we do have our HR department who have received these many resumes. Okay, so let's say, for example, if I just open up any of the resume here, you can see that this is one of the resume, probably not into English language, but this is some kind of a different language. Even I'm not aware of. So this is some different language in which we have received the resume. So there might be various languages in which we can get the resume. So here, let's say this is another resume which is probably into Chinese language. Maybe if I can open up any of the other language resume. So here you can see that we have another resume which is maybe an Arabic language. I can just guess. So we have various languages in which probably we do have our data. Okay, so it could be any language. It could be any language. So here you can see that again. This is another kind of a resume that we have got. So when we have data that we want to get into the model, or at least into our organization, that data may not be just in a English, plain English kind of a format. So it could be anything. It could be anything. So what we need to do is first thing, like whenever you want to use your models in your organizations to create this kind of an copilot, the very first step that we have seen is like prompt. Okay, so this is a prompt that we can use to go ahead and give us some kind of an information. Okay, so let's say, for example, here we will say that you are an AI assistant that help um, find candidate resumes. Okay, so let's say we do this, we click apply changes, and our changes are saved. And if I ask like probably can you suggest candidates who are expert in Python with 5+ kind of an experience, and let us go ahead and try to see how that one works. Okay, so here it gives us simple kind of an information. Probably it is not referring to any of the data, but certainly like it is just giving the normal information that, for example, if you are looking out for that kind of an qualification, then what should you consider? What should be the roles that you can define for those kind of a candidate? But again, it will not give the resumes of those candidates because this is the model which is a generally available model, and this does not have those capabilities. Okay, so that means we have seen that first thing that we can play around is with prompt engineering, but prompt engineering here will not help definitely because we are looking at all these kind of resumes that we need to bring here. So the option that we can use here is like add your own data. Okay, so if you go to the add your own data, these are the data sources that we can add here. So here we have got Azure AI Search, Blob Storage, Cosmos DB, Elasticsearch, URL or web address, and file upload. So these are the data sources from where we'll be able to um, make our model aware of the information, and then we'll be able to fill out that gap. Okay, so we'll be able to give more knowledge to our model with this information that we are going to upload or get our model aware of, and then we'll be able to use that. So this is our second option, and we call this option as a RAG, retrieval augmented generation. So there are various options available, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to simply use upload files kind of an option because we do have those files into PDF format that I just have shown to you, and we want to use that as our grounding data. Okay, so this is the RAG button. I do have a couple of blob storages. Probably I will just choose one at a random. And then first thing is there will be cause kind of an setting that you will have to turn on so that you can do, and then you can select your AI search model. As soon as you do that, you need to specify the index. Okay, so here probably I will just call it as a resume index. Yeah, so this is the index that we are going to create because we do have various resumes. I just need to make them very prominent by saying some kind of a name. The next thing that we can do certainly here is like we need to do the vectorization. Okay, so for the vectorization, we are going to use our embedding model. So this is the embedding model that I already had created, which is text embedding EDA 002, which is the second generation embedding model that we have got. So we will select that model and we'll click next. Again, you may go with no vectorization, but again, you will not get the vector kind of an capabilities while it is searching. So we will use that vector embedding model here, and then obviously there will be cost around associated around that, because this is the model which will help us to do the vectorization, and those vectors will be stored into the Azure AI search service. So we will go ahead with this option. Now this is the place from where we'll be able to upload all those resumes. So let me just go to this URL and oh sorry this um, file or location, and we will upload all the resumes. Okay. So what we'll do is we are uploading all the resumes, almost how many resumes that we have got? Almost 35 resumes that we have got here. So we'll get them uploaded. So as soon as they upload, we can click next, and then there will be an index that will get created, and there will be vectorization created around those resumes. Okay, so here we do have option like what kind of an setting that we want to choose. So again, there are search types. For example, if you are just interested in vector kind of a thing, you can use this as a vector. So in our case, we are just going to use the vector as a search type. But again, for example, if you want to use the hybrid, that means it will have the capabilities of vectorization. That means finding the cosine similarity between those two similar kind of an keywords, as well as the keyword-based search, which is nothing but the full text kind of a search. You can use hybrid. Or for example, if you want to go beyond that, you can also use hybrid plus semantic. To keep it simple, we are just going to use the vector search, and this is the chunk size that we can define, which will help us to break down the documents into the smaller segments for search and retrieval. So 1024 is a default chunk size. So we'll go ahead with that. We'll click next. Again, this is the authentication type that will with which we'll be able to connect to our Azure AI Search, OpenAI, and blob storage. So if in case you want to go ahead with the system assigned managed identity, you can do that, or we can keep it simple and we are going to use the API key. So that's it. Once we will click next, it is going to give us a summary. We are happy with this. Like we are going to use GPT 3.5 turbo model, and this is the embedding model that we are going to use, and we are going to get authenticated with API key and with the search type as a vector. So that's it. We'll click save and close, and we just have to observe this page until that ingestion will get into effect, and we'll get that index created. So this takes roughly 1 minute, but while we are waiting for this to happen, let us go into the Visual Studio and try to build our app. Okay, so all right, so right now I will go into the Visual Studio. So let me just close this down. This is my working version, so probably I will just use it for demonstration purpose. But let me just show you how to create those kind of an app. So here you can see that we do have Visual Studio 2022 and then from here we'll be able to create app. Okay, so I already have installed the Microsoft Teams app here, which is nothing but the extension for the Teams AI library. So because of that reason, I can see this option called as Microsoft Teams app. So I will select that, we'll click next, and this is the place wherein we'll be able to store everything. Okay, so I'm just going to call it as probably a career genie. So this is the app which will help us to get the information from our resumes. Okay, so let us go ahead, click create. So this is going to create the Teams application. But when it comes to the Teams application, we need to specify which team application we need to create. So tab is just to show the information as a tabular manner in Microsoft Teams. We do have Echo Bot, we do have AI chatbot. So AI chatbot is the option that we are going to use because this is the one which help us to create the AI-based chatbot using Teams AI library. So we'll use this option. We'll click create to create our bot created. So once this bot created, there are two projects that it generally works with. So let us wait until the scaffolding happen for this project and we will get to there. All right, so here you can see that again there is a getting started file as well, which will help us to analyze how to get started using this kind of an application or this kind of a project. So here you can see that it is asking us to do few things like we need to fill out some information for example, the OpenAI or Azure OpenAI key into the env.local.user, and then again all of the so specifically right now this particular Teams AI library works on GPT 3.5 Turbo. So we because of that reason again we have created GPT 3.5 Turbo and then we are using that. The next thing is that we need to create the dev tunnel as well. But okay, before we go into those kind of things, let us have a look at the source code structure. So here you can see that we do have two source codes or two solutions or two projects which in which the Teams AI library operates in. So this is the normal Teams app, which is kind of an application package that can be created and deployed to Microsoft Teams. Second thing here is the project, which is our project, wherein the entire source code will be. Again, here you can see that we do have some controller, which is a bot controller, which will help us to have a communication between the Microsoft Teams bot and our API libraries. We do have prompts here. That means we'll be able to define all of the prompts. So here we do have skprompt.txt. Okay. So here we are defining our prompt. So what I will do is I will just use my sample which I already have created and we will compare against that. So since we are trying to create a career genie kind of an application, this is the prompt that we are giving, like you are a career specialist named Career Genie that helps human resources team for writing job posts. So you are a friendly and professional. So this is the behavior that we are binding into that model. And then again, we are saying like you always greet users with excitement and introduce yourself first. And the important thing here is again we are saying you like using emojis where appropriate. Okay, so even we are giving the flexibility for this bot or this model to go ahead and even use emojis as well. Okay, so this is what we can do into the skprompt.txt, which is our prompt. Now that comes to the configuration. So this is the configuration wherein we'll be able to specify the parameters for our model. So that is the maximum tokens, temperature, top P, and all those things. So the same thing that we have done here as well in the project that I'm going to run, almost similar thing. But now the catch is here that we are not just only going to rely on this, but we also need Azure search that we have specified, which is our RAG pattern. So how we can do that is let us go back to our model. So here you can see that the index is pretty much ready. Okay, so this is a resume index that we had created, and this is ready for us to use. Now that since we want to use this index, how we will be able to use. So at the top here, for example, okay, let me just go ahead. Let me just clear this chat. So here even we'll be able to make a prompt and then we are going to get the completion, but probably let us see that into the Teams itself. At the top here, we do have view code kind of a functionality. Once you go into the view code, so this is the code that you can see right now into the Python. But if I switch to JSON, so this is the data source that we get at the top. Okay, so this is the data source which has got the type of Azure search, and again this is the authentication. This is the key which is being used for the authentication. This is the embedding model that we are using, and again this is the index from the Azure AI search we are going to use, and then this is the role information that we are giving to this this particular model, saying that you are an assistant that helps find candidate resumes. Okay, so this is the information that we are giving. So what we can do is we can copy paste everything from here and then we can bring that into our Teams application. Okay, so this is what we have done. So this is the everything which is copy pasted from there, and we do have this part. Okay, so now that let's move into the other part. So we do have Teams app here, which is again everything which includes about the packaging. So no code there. So the everything here is about this configuration JSON. So all of the configuration that we have inside of this config.json, for example, getting the bot ID, password, the OpenAI or the Azure OpenAI kind of an configuration, we do have that entire code here. So this is the code which will simply help us to read the configuration from config.json into this object called as config, and then we'll be able to use this config object throughout our application. So now that, for example, if I go here, you can see that we are creating our LLM kind of a configuration. We are reading out everything from the JSON file, and then, for example, if the configuration is of Azure OpenAI, so this is the line which will help us notify that line number 45 that we are going to use the Azure OpenAI key. Since we have it specified, we have not specified anything for the OpenAI key. We are specifying the Azure OpenAI key. So this particular section will start execution, and this is how the model deployment we will be able to use. So once we will use that model deployment, in the next step we are going to add some prompts. So we are going to use this prompt which we have specified into the prompt file skprompt.txt. So from there we are going to get the prompt, and then simply we are going to create that action planner which will help us to get the information by passing out all of the configurations for the model as well as the prompt, and we are going to use the chat completion API here. Okay, so this is the basic code that we have got. Okay, so now that since this code is not yet developed fully, let us try to run this. So as soon as we run this here, you will be able to see that. So this is the very basic code which does not have any configurations done so far. So we are just trying to run this code. So I will just press F5 or start button at the top, and then we will be able to run this code. So okay, so here you will obviously see the error because we do not have any configurations done here. But as soon as, for example, we say hi, we should be able to get some responses. Probably in this case no, because we have not done any kind of an configurations. Okay, but let's say for example if we do the basic configurations. So for that let me again go back, or maybe what I will do is I will just run the code which is here. Okay, so which is already configured. So this one contains the API key, all of the index name, the deployment model and everything. So now that let's say we want to go ahead and run this code, I will again just click start. So just have a look at, or maybe if you remember back the prompt. So this is the prompt that we had been using. So in this prompt, we are saying that this is a career journey, and again, it can use emojis, it can greet the users first and everything. So considering that, this is the interface that we will have. I will just say hi, so that I will start conversation with this model. And here you can see that here it is saying that hello there, welcome to career journey, and how can I assist today? And here also you can see that it is using emojis. Okay, so now that we will come to the part of using our prompt against the RAG pattern that we have developed so far into the index. So again, I'm going to use the same prompt which we had given there, like maybe uh, like, can you suggest? Let me just type it here. Can you suggest candidates who are expert in Python with 5 years of experience? Okay, so this is the prompt that we are going to give now. So what it should do is this prompt should hit the index that we had created into the Azure search, and then it should follow that drag pattern, and we should be able to get our data from the PDF files wherein we have all of the resumes. Okay, so hope everything goes well. Okay, so okay, here it is saying that it is not able to find anything. Let me just try just with Python. Okay, all right. So now that, for example, if I run this, here you can see that, okay, again, it does not find anyone here with Python, but I think I had few users there with 5 years of experience into the Python. Let us try to run it one more time. It's a demo time, so most of the time it work when you are coding it, but probably not work when you're demoing it. So, but yeah, this is how at least we are able to see that it is hitting that index and it is trying to get the information. Okay, so this is right now hitting all of the endpoints, and again it is able to greet ourselves. And then when the times come that it need to go ahead and use the indexes, even from there it can use those indexes and give us the information. All right, so that was a quick demo how you will be able to build those applications using Teams AI Toolkit. So obviously you need to create your own models, even embedding models, get them deployed into the Azure OpenAI Studio, and then using this kind of a quick mechanism, you will be able to do that. Now that we just have seen a few of the things, but again, there are few improvements which are coming into this AI toolkit, like the streaming UX, which even Smita was talking about, which will help us to have the streaming UX, which will give us the information whenever it is ready. So here you can see that a gist of that. Again, there will be AI labels that will help you. So for example, at the bottom here, you can see that we have the AI labels here, which will help us to um, give some more option to work with those models or your bot. Again, there will be citations, uh, more of citation which can directly help you to get into that file, or at least the reference from those citations are coming through. Again, there will be an option for feedback loop. So once the everything is generated, there will be thumbs up, thumbs down kind of an icon, which will help us to give a feedback back to the model so that if needed they can improve. And again, there will be a Copilot handshake. Okay, so for example, whenever you want to hand off from from the Copilot to human being, there will be an option to that. So these are kind of an UX feature that will help you to make your custom Copilot look and feel like a Microsoft Copilot. Right? All right. So with that, for example, if you just want to see it, how does it work? You can try it out today with Teams AI library. So this is the URL wherein you need to go ahead and start using the Teams AI library, ak.ms/try Teams Toolkit. These are few of the references. Even I'm going to paste them into the chat window as well, which will help you to go ahead and get your journey started with Teams AI library as well as bringing your own Copilot. All right, so I guess that's all. Thank you very much.